The clock on the wall said that it was time to bring the lecture to a close, and Hindemith summed up what he wanted to leave with us. The science of music deals with the proportions objects assume in their quantitative and spatial, but also in their biological and spiritual relations. Kepler's 3 basic laws of planetary motion could perhaps not have been discovered had he not had a serious backing in music theory. It may well be that the last word concerning the interdependence of music and the exact sciences has not been spoken. This was a puzzling beginning to my long-awaited encounter with the man Yardbird Parker had said he wanted to study with. I could see that what Bird had supposed were Hindemith's musical passions would not be what I'd be learning in that class. What will I learn? I asked myself, and will the man ever get beyond those ancient Greeks and get modern? That cosmic music box he had talked about, the music of the spheres, the idea of planets that sing, kept me in my seat long after the other students and Hindemith had left the room. Had I come to the right place to study music? A few weeks into the semester, when Hindemith started passing out sheets of music in his own neat script, I got the feeling my patience was about to pay off. As he distributed the manuscript, he said, "Now we will make some music together." I was ready, but to my horror, the sheets of music were not his own compositions. The music wasn't even of the 20th century at all. Rather, he had given us transcriptions he had made of some of that medieval music he had already talked about, which I had hoped was behind us. Hindemith tested our voices individually, and he carefully divided the class into singing sections of tenors, sopranos, altos, and basses. Then he stood in front of us and began conducting our singing. A sudden, miraculous transformation took place. Paul Hindemith, the real musician, broke free of the tight little lecturer-teacher who had been confounding me for so many weeks. The surprising sounds of music written in 12th and 13th century Europe were making sense to me. Day by day, as we sang these long-forgotten relics from Europe's Middle Ages, a far clearer understanding of the importance of what had happened in the musical past began to come into focus. We worked our way on chronologically, and with Hindemith's expert choral direction our performances came alive. Then he grew more adventurous. We took up music of a later period, with instrumental accompaniment. He insisted on our hearing the authentic instruments of the period, and fetched them when available from dank museum basements for us to play. Miracles began to happen. From our shaky beginnings on the creaky and out-of-tune instruments, here and there in our rehearsals a stunning combination of sounds would leap out, which would have turned even Charlie Parker's head. For me, connections gradually became clearer. Then, a little later in the semester, I really got an earful as we worked our way forward in time all the way up to 16th century Venice. Hindemith began putting on public concerts in Yale's acoustically sumptuous Sprague Hall, with us playing and singing the work of a miraculous body of music that had been written for performances in St. Mark's Basilica in the 1500s. We even took our show on the road to New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art, where our large group stood in the grand staircase in the foyer and raised the roof with the majesty of our sound. So here I was at the Met, playing my horn and singing in that huge, high-ceilinged space, getting my kicks from the living energy in Gabrieli's invigorating chunks of harmony, the stunning echo effects, the exhilarating rhythms, and Gesualdo's grinding dissonances. Hindemith was so pleased with our sound, he arranged for us to make recordings. All this lavish Venetian church music that Hindemith was insisting we know set up reverberations in my memory of W.C. Handy's message to the children in my Alabama schoolhouse way back in 1937. I was not absolutely sure of it, but I had the distinct feeling that the religious music of my world, those spirituals Mr. Handy had admonished Sheffield's children to sing with pride in their voices, and this rich body of old-world religious music were connected. Years later, I was to find the connection.